Hello, my name is Jordan Hanson, and today I'm going to be talking about my honors project, which is entitled London Through a Crisis. So to give some background on my project, I studied abroad in London in the spring of 2020, and then continued working on my project for the next 2 semesters. What I basically was doing was researching a specific genre of writing called a crisis, and then I was doing research while I was writing to create a lot of poems, and then also research on publications so I could send out my completed manuscript when it was done. So what I ended up with as the final product was a chapbook, which is a shorter version of a manuscript, more compact. You can submit a chapbook in pretty much any genre, but I chose poetry. So I had about 15, a little over 15 poems to submit as one chapbook. I also created a website. If you wanted to go to that link, you can see it on the slide, with a little more background on my project and on the genre, lots of good examples of if you wanted to look more into crisis as a genre, and lots of resources for writers who are trying to publish work. So you can also find updates on that website for if my piece gets published. And you can also send me questions through there as well, or my school email. That's also, Jordan, Hanson at mail.roanoke.edu if you have any questions at the end of this presentation. So to go a little bit more into the actual genre, probably wondering what is a crisis. So it's basically writing about an artwork and the experience of that artwork. So one of my sources calls it the nature of the piece and what is suggested by its nature. It's not just writing a description of the artwork, it's also writing about what that artwork, created as an experience for someone, either you or a character that you create maybe in your writing. I found 3 types of ekphrasis while I was researching. The first is actual, which is mostly what I was doing, which is writing about a real piece of artwork that is, out there in the world, an actual piece of artwork, if you will. The second one is called notional, which is writing about an imaginary or fictional piece of artwork. And the last is called unaccessible actual, which is writing about a piece of artwork that was once real, but it has since been lost or destroyed. If you want to look for examples on those kinds of poetry, the first one you might look at John Keats and his piece on Seeing the Elgin Marbles. The second you might look again at John Keats and his Ode on a Grecian Urn. And the third, you might look at Elizabeth Bishop and her poem entitled Poem. So for the next part of this presentation, I am going to read 4 of my poems from my manuscript, which I titled The Future of Statues. The first poem will be the first poem from the manuscript. There will be 2 from the middle of the manuscript, and the last poem will be the last poem of the manuscript. I'm also going to provide the pictures of the artwork so you can sort of look at that as I'm reading poetry. So without further ado, what do you get started on those? The first one is titled Renewal, after Hilary Lloyd, 1 Minute of Water. Sunlight ripples and ripples. The water on the Sony screen could be any body of water, any ocean or tiny mountain stream, glittering under winter beams, swollen with melted snow, glacial and pure. It could be the Lethe, sunlight reaching all the way to Hades. Maybe it can help us forget our past selves. For better or for worse, we are washed clean and emerge from the screen, shivering and new, while 1 minute ripples into forever. The next is called Head in the Clouds, after Renee Magritte, The Future of Statues. Mask of a mask, figurehead for an emperor whose deeds rose in cloudy pillars, only to collapse on shifting winds. Annihilated victories, defeat at Waterloo, exiled under the blue eye of Saint Helena, tomb beneath a gilded dome, immortalized as ephemeral. Memory is fickle. White clouds heave tears, pleasantness of dreams turns paralysis. Winners write what they please, losers gloss the summer sky. The next one is entitled Christ, after Gerrit von Honthorst, Christ before the High Priest. I know enough about God incarnate to identify him in paintings. He's everywhere in this part of the gallery, on the top floor to the left of the grand staircase, right above the gift shop. Jack coined it the Jesus wing, affectionately. We always end up here while searching for something else, and there he is. Long hair, watchful eyes, hands outstretched and bloody. Among wooden crosses and glints of gold, a huge painting, almost floor to ceiling, catches my eye. Jesus in front of a man, lit by a single candle. Jack knows more than me. He tells me the story about Jesus and the priest, while I lean into his side and relish his warmth. He kisses my hair and wanders away. I wasn't listening enough to the story, only remember his smile, his voice singing above the hum of the gallery. In the painting, Jesus looks like a man, soft in candlelight, kind, tired eyes. I watch Jack gaze at something farther down, hands in his pockets, face soft, relaxed. What I know most about Jesus is that he loved. Maybe that's all I need. And the last poem is entitled, Pray You, Love, Remember, after Odilon Redden, Ophelia Among the Flowers. Footsteps on a lonely street, wind from a passing bus whips my hair. Reaching to brush it away, I see her, Ophelia, among the flowers, head rising from water or sinking. A mirage from another life, just months ago, tucked away in a London museum. Rainy days, one hand on the umbrella, the other warm in his. I wonder what it's like to love someone so much your mind drowns itself when they are gone, to drown because of drowning. I wonder if it's peaceful. I wonder if it hurts, this paradox of burning lungs in freezing water. What kind of mind doesn't struggle to the surface? It must be quiet under the water and maybe beautiful. One last glance at wildflowers, a willow. And that was the last of my poems that I'm going to read for you today. Here's a page of my references. And of course, again, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email or check out my little website that you saw earlier as a link. And again, thank you for listening.